here is I'm going to go ahead and select the faces. I'm going to delete these middle ones. Like, oh my god, Mr. Mata, you are super crazy. Yay! Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and go to this view right here. I'm going to try to shrink it down as best I can. Alrighty. We're going to go to the edge mode. And we're going to bring this in. Select these edges. Actually, we're going to select all of these edges right here. And since these are going to be, looks like this is the same width around the whole thing, try to bring it in as much as possible. Same thing with this, these sides. Bring them in a little bit. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to move it. Nope. I'm going to make sure that, alright, so now I'm going to select the object, I'm going to move it up. And actually looked like the width was pretty good, but we're actually going to work on that a little bit. Alright, so select faces, object, faces. I'm going to select all of these faces. I'm going to expand them out right there. I'm going to take these faces. I'm going to bring them out this way. So that actually looks pretty decent for this particular object. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and see what it looks like with this subdeed. Not too shabby right off the bat. And so what we can do here is I can go get my knife tool. And I want to bring this in a little bit. So right there. That's a little bit too much. There we go. That's going to bring it in. Alright. So that worked out pretty decent. Alrighty, if I want to bring these in a little bit, we can actually go ahead and vert pick right here. I'm going to scale these in just a little bit right there. And deselect these ones. Bring it in. Deselect these. Bring them in. Alright, and then if I wanted to get my knife tool out, actually let's see what it looks like without the isotherms, and that needs a little bit of work with what we have. Alright, so what it looks like we need to do is that I need to select these vertices. I need to scale on just a tiny bit. Go ahead and get these subds out, put it up to 2 again. go to the top view. There we go. That worked itself out. Okay, so got this plane, and if I want to get these bumps out, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make a couple cuts. I'm going to make one cut for right here, one cut right there, and I'm going to try to extrude this right there, and then that one right there, and we'll go ahead and work on, actually that's got one right there, so we're going to make one right here and make one right there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to select the edges, going to select my edges, and actually there we go. There's those two cuts, and we'll go ahead and make this knife again. Take it out. There we go. There we go. And take these edges, select them. And I am going to do an extrude. You can actually extrude your edges too, which is always an option, but we're going to change the subdivisions down to 0, so I don't want any extra subdivisions, because if I need them, then I'll just add them manually. Alright, so we got these. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually let's try scaling these down and then see what it looks like inside that subdivision again. Oh, some weird stuff going on right here. And it could be that maybe I need to add some holding lines to it. Probably definitely need another line right here to bring it in. Here. There we go. And just to be on the safe side, I'm going to make one right here and then one right there also. So that's kind of a little bit more even. That object looks pretty decent. I mean, if I really wanted to go ahead and select these edges, these additional edges that I made, and what we're going to do, we're going to scale them. And this is going to slowly bring it together. If I wanted to make this a little bit tighter, and then if I needed to get the vertices out, I wanted to make it more of a point, I'm going to bring these initial ones down a little bit more. And that looks like it's going to work. That's a nice particular shape for that object right there. And then we're going to kind of do the same thing over here with this one. Now that I look at it, I want to move these out a little bit. There we go. And probably bring these vertices back up just a tiny bit. Alright. I typically have to get that far into it. It works pretty good how it is. Alrighty. Go ahead and do the same thing. So what I really have here is I have I'd probably even get rid of this line if I wanted to. Let's see what happens when I select this line. I dissolve it. Nope. Okay, so that line is really what it's doing when it's holding the smoothness to it, so that it's allowing these to be more of control where this loop is going to come in. So we're going to keep that in mind. But what we're going to go ahead and we're going to select the faces. Make sure I have the faces unselected. Get my knife tool out, knife, in the middle, on the edges, and I select my edges. And that's my move tool out. Select, extrude, and I'm going to extrude this way out. There we go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and edit these vertices. I'm going to scale these in. Alright, these look like they need to come out a little bit more. Oops. Alrighty. Alrighty. Alright, there we go. Take that one, bring it down a little bit more. And I might want to make this a little bit more straight. I just didn't like the shape that it made. Let's just double check over here, make sure they don't get any weird shapes. I don't have good. Okay, so my shapes are fine. That's a little bit weird when I move those edges, which if I actually went ahead and just left that one where it was at, leave them at, and then if I wanted to cut it in more, I'm gonna take these, bring these down a little bit too. But it kind of messes with that flow. What I can do is I can actually go ahead and get the knife tool again, and just put another edge in there. And all that's really doing is it's not going to affect the actual geometry outside of the thing because it's going to be pretty straight. But what it's doing is that as I'm adding more weight to this part right here. Alright, that looks pretty decent. That's a pretty easy piece to do, and you're like, oh, but you're not done. No, I am not done. So I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to apply this to it. Actually, option. Take this object, apply this to it. There we go, and then I'm going to leave if I wanted to, not somebody. If I wanted to create an extrude, I can. If it will work that way. Actually, I misspoke. Alright, so go ahead and take these, go to the face, select everything. Alright, get the extrude, make sure that I create caps, and I'm going to extrude up. And now, just to make sure that everything's kosher, this is a rounder object, that's fine. If I wanted to, there we go. Give it a little bit more of an edge by extruding it just a little bit more. And then what I can do is take this out and I can get my, like that, my faces, there we go, and I can add another